Before you can win in life, you must first win in your mind. Every battle you face, whether it be emotional, financial, relational, or spiritual, begins not on the outside, but on the inside. The greatest war ever fought is not the one waged with guns or tanks. It is the war that takes place between your ears, in the quiet places of your thought life. This war is not visible, but its consequences are very real. Your mind is the control center of your life. Whatever rules your mind will eventually rule your decisions, your habits, and your futures. The enemy of purpose does not need to attack your finances, your job, or your body. He only needs to take your mind, because once your mind is conquered, everything else will follow. The mind is where destiny is shaped and where defeat is accepted. You can have all the potential in the world, all the talent, all the resources, all the opportunities, but if your mind is imprisoned, your life will never be free. Every person who has ever failed or succeeded, won or lost, did so first in their mind. Some were defeated long before they stood in front of their enemy. Why? Because they had already surrendered in their thoughts. They rehearsed the words, "I can't, I'm not good enough, it's too late, and this is just who I am." Those thoughts become beliefs, and beliefs become strongholds. And strongholds determine what you will allow, what you will fight for, and what you will walk away from. You don't rise in life based on how people see you. You rise based on how you see yourself. And how you see yourself is shaped by what you think. That is why the most dangerous prison is not made of steel bars, but of mental chains. Many people are free on the outside, but are captives in their minds. They are chained by their past, bound by fear, and held hostage by limiting beliefs that were never meant to be part of their identity. The battlefield of the mind is where vision is either birthed or aborted. You can receive a divine dream, a vision from heaven, but if your mind is filled with fear, insecurity, and doubt, you will sabotage your own promise. The mind is the womb of destinies. What you allow to be conceived in your thoughts will eventually be delivered in your life. Every act of greatness began with a thought. Every act of betrayal, corruptions, or destruction also began with a thought. The mind doesn't just react to life, it creates it. This is why protecting your mind is not optional, it is essential. You must guard it like a soldier guards a fortress, because the enemy knows that if he can plant a lie in your thinking, he can steer your entire life off course. He doesn't have to attack your circumstances if he can convince you that you are powerless, insignificant, or broken beyond repairs. But understand this, every lie you accept builds a wall in your mind, and every truth you embrace tears one down. The power of your future lies in the health of your thinking. If your mind is cluttered with confusion, your life will be marked by indecision. If your thoughts are dominated by fear, you will hesitate at every opportunity. But if your mind is filled with clarity, conviction, and truth, nothing can stop you. Because a transformed mind will produce a transformed life. When your mind aligns with your purpose, your steps align with your destiny. You don't need to manipulate circumstances. You need to master your thoughts. Many people pray for breakthrough in their lives while remaining bound in their thinkings. But breakthrough must happen first in the mind. A renewed mind sees possibilities where others see problems. It sees open doors where others see closed ones. It sees solutions where others only see struggle. The battle is never about what's around you. It's always about what's within you. Your environment may be loud, but your internal dialogue determines your direction. That's why winning in the mind is not just the beginning of victory. It is the victory itself. Your life is not the product of chance. It is the harvest of your thoughts. Thoughts are seeds and the mind is fertile ground. Every thought you entertain is a seed planted in the soil of your consciousness. Whether that seed is one of fear or faith, defeat or victory, insecurity or confidence, it will grow, it will take root, and eventually it will produce a harvest that shapes your reality. This is a principle that governs not only your inner life, but your external circumstances. It is not mystical, it is foundational. Just as you cannot plant an orange seed and expect to reap apples. You cannot plant negative, self-limiting thoughts and expect to live a life of purpose and power. Whatever dominates your thinking today will shape the outcomes of your tomorrows. The problem is not that you don't have the potential. The problem is that potential is often buried under the weight of unworthy thoughts. Every time you say, "I can't," you are planting a seed of limitation. Every time you dwell on what went wrong, on who left, on what didn't work out, you are watering the weeds of your minds. And weeds will choke out the fruit if left unchecked. People often focus on behavior, but behavior is the fruit, but the root. The root is thoughts. You don't change your life by changing your habits alone. You change your life by changing the thoughts that fuel those habits. Before a person lies, they think about lying. Before a person gives up, they first entertain thoughts of defeat. Before a person acts in courage, they have first meditated on victory. The action is the final step. The first step is always the thoughts. You may not be able to control every thought that passes through your mind, but you do have control over which ones you allow to stay. Thoughts knock on the door of your mind every day, some dressed in truth, others cloaked in deception. If you let the wrong ones in, they won't just sit quietly. They'll rearrange the furniture. They'll challenge your identity. They'll question your worth. They'll cause you to doubt your calling, your ability, even your value as a person. But when you intentionally choose to plant thoughts of purpose, vision, and faith, you begin to align your mind with the reality you were born to create. What you meditate on, you magnify. And what you magnify, you move toward. If you keep thinking you're not enough, eventually you'll stop trying. If you keep rehearsing past failure, you'll fear future progress. But if you fix your thoughts on truth, on growth, on possibility, your actions will start to follow suit. This is not a one-time act, it is a discipline. Just as a farmer does not plant once and expect a lifetime harvest, you must continually plant the right thoughts. It requires awareness. It requires intentionality. You must be vigilant over the garden of your mind, because life will try to plant discouragement. People will speak doubt. Circumstances will suggest failures. But you have to decide what you will allow to take root. The most powerful thing about a seed is that it never looks like what it will become. A tiny thought can produce a lifetime reality. That's why you cannot afford to entertain any thought that is inconsistent with your purpose. You cannot afford to dwell on anything that diminishes your identity or your destinies. The thought may seem small, but its fruit can be large. What starts as maybe I'm not good enough can grow into years of hesitation, missed opportunities, and self-sabotage. On the other hand, a single thought of purpose can shift your direction. I was made for more. There is something greater in me. My past does not define me. These thoughts are seeds. And when they are planted, nourished, and protected, they begin to shape a new inner reality. And eventually, that inner reality begins to influence every part of your life. Your relationships, your choices, your work, your words. Your mind is not a storage unit, it's a field. And the field does not care what you plant. It will grow whatever you give it. That's why you must be deliberate. Because every thought is not just a passing idea, it is a prophecy. It's a preview of what is to come if you allow it to grow. You are not just thinking, you are building, shaping. Forming the structure of your future. A person's life will never exceed the level of their thinking. No matter how gifted, talented, or resourced you may be, if your thoughts remain small, your life will reflect that limitation. You cannot live beyond what you allow yourself to believe. The ceiling over your life is not built by external circumstances. It is built by internal conclusions. Every limitation you have accepted in your mind becomes a law that governs your actions. Your mind sets the boundaries of your existence. You can only pursue what you believe is possible. You can only build what you have imagined. You can only reach for what your thoughts have given you permission to touch. And that is why transformation must begin in the mind. Because a transformed mind will expand your world. But a restricted mind will trap you even in the midst of opportunity. Some people are not imprisoned by walls or fences. They are imprisoned by thoughts. They walk around with the chains of I'm not smart enough. It's too late. This is the best it'll ever get. These thoughts are not casual. They are commandments that your subconscious will obey. When you think you are incapable, you will act in hesitation. When you believe you are unworthy, you will settle for less. When you convince yourself that nothing will change, you won't even try. Life moves in the direction of your dominant thoughts. If you constantly dwell on failure, you will unconsciously position yourself to fail. If you believe that nothing good can happen to you, your perspective will reject goodness even when it shows up. Your thinking becomes the filter through which you interpret everything. An unhealthy mind will distort truth, twist relationships, and misread opportunity. Even blessings can look like burdens to someone who has been conditioned to expect pain. This is why you must examine not just what you're doing, but how you're thinking. Because thoughts become expectations, and expectations shape behavior. If you expect disappointment, you will guard yourself with suspicion. If you expect rejection, you will avoid intimacy. If you expect to lose, you won't train to win. And eventually, your actions will align with what you believe, not what you desire. It's possible to want something deeply, but savage it completely because your thoughts never gave you permission to receive it. People often focus on changing external things. Jobs, locations, even relationships, believing that change will produce peace. But until your mind changes, your life cannot. You can relocate to a new city, but if your thinking remains rooted in fear, you'll recreate the same problems in a new environment. You can find a new relationship, but if your mind is still shaped by trauma and mistrust, you'll carry the same dysfunction forwards. The mind is the architect of your life. If the blueprint is flawed, the building will be unstable no matter how beautiful it looks on the outside. When your thoughts are rooted in truth, your confidence rises. You begin to take action not from a place of fear, but from a place of clarity. You begin to walk as if you are supposed to be where you are, not as if you're waiting for someone else to approve your presence. When you shift your mind, you shift your posture. You stand taller, speak clearer, and live more intentionally. But that shift does not come automatically. It comes through intentional reward. You must actively replace lies with truth, fear with faith, and doubt with convictions. Most people have not been defeated by their enemies, they've been defeated by their thinking. The thoughts they adopted during childhood, the words spoken over them in failures, the beliefs they absorbed from a culture that promotes insecurity, all of these have built a stronghold. And if you do not confront the stronghold, it will quietly dictate the limits of your life. You may feel resistance every time you try to grow, and that resistance is not always external. It is internal. It's the voice that says, "You're not ready. You're too broken. You should be farther by now." These voices do not have power unless you give them permission. And once you do, they don't just sit in the back of your mind. They take the driver's seat. They begin to steer your choices, influence your relationships, and shape your view of what's possible. And without realizing it, you begin to make decisions not based on truth, but based on the boundaries you've created in your thoughts. That's why, no matter how great your callings, you will only walk in the portion of it that your mind believes is yours. Discipline your mind like a soldier prepares for war. Expanded, a soldier does not step onto the battlefield untrained, undisciplined, or unaware. He prepares his mind before he picks up his weapon. He studies the enemy, sharpens his reflexes, aligns his thoughts, and fortifies his convictions. In the same way, your mind must be trained for the battles of life, not with physical weapons, but with clarity, consistency, and conviction. Your mind is the command center of your decisions. And if it is left undisciplined, your life will be governed by confusion. There are many people with great vision but no mental discipline. They start with energy but finish with excuses. Why? Because when the pressure of life increases, it reveals the condition of your thoughts. In war, undisciplined soldiers become casualties, not because they lack strength, but because they lack focus. They react instead of respond. They panic instead of prepare. They retreat when they should advance. And so it is with life. Without mental disciplines, you will lose battles you were fully equipped to win. You cannot allow your mind to think anything it wants, whenever it wants. That kind of passivity is dangerous. Just like a soldier watches every step in enemy territory, you must be vigilant with every thought that enters your mind. Because thoughts are not harmless, they are strategic. Every thought is either building you up or tearing you down. Every thought is either aligning you with your purpose or pulling you away from it. Discipline begins with awareness. You must become aware of the patterns your mind defaults to. When stress comes, does your mind go straight to fear? When someone disagrees with you, does your mind assume rejections? When things don't go as planned, does your mind expect failure? These patterns must be identified because you cannot conquer what you will not confront. A disciplined mind interrogates thoughts instead of automatically accepting them. It asks, is this thought true? Is it helpful? Is it consistent with who I am and what I'm called to become? A soldier does not train when the war begins. He trains before the war arrives. Likewise, you must discipline your mind before crisis hits, before betrayal comes, before disappointment tries to creep in. Because when your mind has been trained in peace, it will not collapse in pressure. Training your mind means choosing thoughts deliberately. It means feeding your mind with truth even when lies feel louder. It means speaking of purpose even when your situation seems empty. Mental discipline is not about ignoring reality. It's about refusing to be ruled by it. You can acknowledge a storm without surrendering to it. You can feel the pressure without allowing panic to control your direction. Discipline says, yes, I see what's happening around me, but I've trained my mind to stand firm. The same way a soldier holds his ground, you must hold your mental ground. You must anchor your thinking in something stronger than emotions, stronger than fear, stronger than the noise of doubt. Discipline also requires consistency. A soldier does not train once a week and expect to be ready. He trains daily. He rehearses, he repeats, he drills. The same applies to your mind. You must create habits of strong thinking, daily routines of reflection, meditation, affirmation, and alignments. When you start your day with scatterers, you live a scattered life. But when you start your day with disciplined focus, your steps carry clarity and purpose, and make no mistake. This kind of discipline is not always comfortable. Your mind will resist it. Emotions will try to hijack your focus. Old habits will tempt you to retreat into mental autopilot. But discipline is not about comfort. It's about command. You must command your thoughts the way a general commands an army. You don't ask your thoughts to obey. You instruct them. You tell your mind where to go. You remind it of truth. You redirect it when it strays. You correct it when it's off course. Because without discipline, your mind will be shaped by default, not by design. It will absorb the environment around it instead of the purpose within it. That's why a disciplined mind must be separated from the noise. A soldier is not concerned with entertainment when preparing for war. He is not distracted by every voice or every headlines. He knows that distraction leads to destruction, and so he focuses. He locks in. He's to the mission. He trains for the assignment. And so must you. Mastery does not begin with talent, resources, or connections. It begins with the mind. The greatest territory you will ever conquer is not found on maps or in business charts. It is the territory of your own thoughts. You were not created to be controlled by circumstance. You were created to take dominion. But dominion is not possible without mental mastery. Until you govern your thoughts, you cannot govern your life. The person who cannot control their mind will be a slave to everything around them. Emotions will dictate their decisions. Insecurity will filter every relationship. Fear will limit every opportunity. Mastery is not about pretending challenges don't exist. It is about choosing how you respond to them. It is about deciding what rules your inner world. When your mind is undisciplined, you become reactive. But when your mind is mastered, you become strategic. You move with intention. You speak with clarity. You act from identity, not emotions. Your life rises or falls on the foundation of your mindset, and make no mistake, mindset is not a personality trait. It is a choice. It is a cultivated condition. It is a daily decision to align your thinking with your purpose. Many people spend years developing skills, building platforms, and acquiring knowledge, yet neglect the inner structure that sustains it all, the mindset. Without mastering your mind, everything you build will be unstable, because it is your thinking that sustains your doings. It is your belief that sustains your becoming. Life will test you. People will misunderstand you. Opportunities will stretch you. But your success in every season depends on how well you've mastered your thoughts. When your mind is grounded in truth, storms don't shake you. They sharpen you. When your mind is rooted in vision, distractions don't seduce you. They reveal your focus. Mastering your mind gives you the power to lead yourself when no one else is watching, to stay consistent when no one else is clapping, to push forward when nothing around you seems to support your movement. Mastery means you no longer allow fear to narrate your future. Fear may knock, but it doesn't get a seat at the table. It doesn't get to write your story. A mastered mind does not allow temporary emotion to drive permanent decisions. It doesn't let comparison cloud confidence. It doesn't permit old pain to sabotage new possibilities. When you master your mind, you take back the authority that life and people may have tried to steal from you. You no longer live from reaction, you live from revelation. Mastery is not about perfection, it's about priority. What do you allow to dominate your internal conversations? What voices echo in your silence? What beliefs run on repeat in your inner dialogue? Mastery means confronting every thought that weakens your purpose. It means uprooting every lie that challenges your identity. It means silencing the inner critic that was trained by old trauma and replacing it with the voice of truth that aligns with your destinies. And this mastery is not accidental. It is intentional. You must choose what you feed your mind. You must choose who has access to your thinking. You must choose what content you consume, what conversations you engage in, what thoughts you allow to linger. Because what fills your mind will form your reality. You cannot think thoughts of failure and live a life of success. You cannot dwell on defeat and expect victory to emerge. Mastering your mind means refusing to be defined by moments. It means seeing setbacks as setups, obstacles as opportunities, and delay as preparation. It means understanding that the true battlefield is internal and the true victory is invisible before it becomes visible. This kind of mastery is not loud. It's quiet, deliberate, and powerful. It doesn't need applause, but it produces results. Because when the mind is mastered, the man or woman is unstoppable. It means that clarity becomes your companions. Peace becomes your default. Decisions are no longer driven by desperation, but guided by wisdom. You walk into rooms with stability, not arrogance. You move through transitions with grace, not fear. Because your mind has been trained, conditioned, and prepared for what life may bring. And in that mastery, you begin to shape life instead of waiting for life to shape you.